They said the man was unstoppable. They said Becky Lynch would never back down from a fight. Well, guess what? WWE just proved all of US wrong in the most devastating way possible. Right now, as I'm recording this, Becky Lynch is sitting in a hospital room, potentially facing the end of her wrestling career, while WWE executives are already making plans to strip her of the title she fought tooth and nail to earn. And the worst part? This could have been completely avoided if WWE actually cared about their superstars' safety instead of their precious ratings. What happened yesterday wasn't just an injury, it was a catastrophe that exposes everything wrong with how WWE treats their biggest stars. And if you think this is just another wrestling injury that'll blow over in a few weeks, you're about to discover why this situation is so much worse than WWE wants you to know. The medical reports I've obtained paint a picture so grim that even WWE's own doctors are questioning whether Becky will ever step foot in a ring again. We're not talking about a minor setback here, we're talking about potential career-ending damage that could leave the man unable to perform at the level that made her the biggest female star in WWE history. But here's where it gets absolutely infuriating. Multiple sources backstage are telling me that WWE officials knew this spot was dangerous. They knew the risks involved, and they pushed forward anyway because they were desperate for a viral moment to trend on social media. They literally gambled with Becky Lynch's career for a few extra clicks and shares. And now they're scrambling to cover their tracks while simultaneously preparing to move forward without their biggest female draw. I've been told that emergency creative meetings have been happening since yesterday evening, with writers frantically rewriting storylines and executives calculating how quickly they can crown a new champion without admitting fault for this disaster. The injury itself happened during what was supposed to be a routine segment. Sources in the production truck tell me that Becky was following the script exactly as written when everything went wrong. The spot that caused the injury was requested by WWE management specifically for its shock value. They wanted something that would get people talking, something that would generate buzz across social media platforms. Well, they got their buzz all right, but at what cost? Becky Lynch, the woman who carried the entire women's division on her shoulders, the superstar who main event WrestleMania and broke barriers that seemed impossible just years ago, is now facing an uncertain future because WWE prioritized spectacle over safety. What makes this even more maddening is that this isn't the first time. How many superstars have to get seriously hurt before WWE realizes that their reckless approach to entertainment is destroying lives? How many careers have to end prematurely before they understand that their superstars aren't expendable props in their corporate machine? I've spoken to 3 different wrestlers who were backstage when this happened, and they all described the same thing: a moment of complete silence followed by panic. One veteran performer told me, and I quote, "You could hear a pin drop. Everyone knew immediately that something was seriously wrong. Becky didn't get up, and when she tried to move, you could see the pain on her face. It wasn't selling, this was real." The medical team that rushed to assist Becky worked on her for nearly 20 minutes before she was carefully transported to the nearest trauma center. During that time, WWE cameras continued rolling, capturing every moment of genuine distress for potential use in future programming. Think about that for a second. While their top star was potentially suffering a career-ending injury, their first instinct was to make sure they got it all on film. Hospital sources confirmed that Becky underwent extensive testing throughout the night, with specialists being called in to evaluate the full extent of the damage. The preliminary reports suggest multiple areas of concern, with the possibility of surgical intervention being discussed among her medical team. This isn't a situation where she'll be back in action in a few weeks with an inspiring comeback story. This is potentially life-altering. Meanwhile, WWE's public relations machine has gone into overdrive, carefully crafting statements that minimize the severity while preparing fans for the worst-case scenario. They're walking a tightrope, trying to maintain sympathy for Becky while protecting themselves from potential liability issues that could arise from this incident. But here's what really makes my blood boil. I've learned that WWE executives are already in discussions about who will replace Becky as their top female star. They're not waiting for medical updates or recovery timelines, they're moving forward as if she's already gone. Less than 24 hours after their biggest female draw gets seriously injured, and they're already planning her replacement. The leading candidates being discussed internally include several current roster members who WWE believes can fill the void left by Becky's absence. Creative teams are being tasked with developing storylines that can quickly elevate these wrestlers to main event status, essentially erasing Becky from their long-term plans before they even know if she'll recover. This cold, calculating approach to handling their superstars' well-being perfectly encapsulates everything that's wrong with WWE's corporate culture. These aren't just employees or independent contractors, these are human beings who sacrifice their bodies and their futures for our entertainment. They deserve better than being treated like replaceable assets in a spreadsheet. The wrestling community's response has been swift and emotional, with current and former superstars expressing their support for Becky while also calling out WWE's pattern of putting entertainment value above wrestler safety. Several prominent voices in the industry have used this incident to highlight the broader issues of performer protection and corporate responsibility. Social media has exploded with fans sharing their favorite Becky Lynch moments, creating hashtags demanding better safety protocols, and expressing their anger at WWE's handling of the situation. The overwhelming sentiment is clear: fans are tired of seeing their favorite superstars get hurt because of preventable accidents caused by dangerous booking decisions. But will any of this outrage actually lead to meaningful change? History suggests that WWE will weather the storm like they have countless others, making cosmetic adjustments while maintaining the same underlying approach that led to this injury in the first place. They'll issue carefully worded statements about reviewing their safety protocols while simultaneously planning the next high-risk spectacle. The reality is that until there are real consequences for these incidents, whether financial, legal, or regulatory, WWE has little incentive to fundamentally change their approach. They've calculated that the entertainment value and revenue generated by dangerous spots outweigh the occasional injury, even when that injury potentially ends a superstar's career. What's particularly heartbreaking about this situation is that Becky Lynch represents everything positive about modern professional wrestling. She broke through barriers, challenged stereotypes, and proved that female superstars could carry a company just as effectively as their male counterparts. Her rise from relatively unknown performer to global superstar inspired countless fans and fellow wrestlers alike. Now, all of that could be over because WWE needed their viral moment. All of Becky's hard work, her dedication, her sacrifices, potentially erased because someone in a corporate boardroom decided that a dangerous spot was worth the risk to their biggest female star's career. The medical timeline for recovery remains unclear, with specialists still conducting tests to determine the full scope of the injury. What we do know is that Becky is facing months of uncertainty, not knowing if she'll ever be able to return to the ring that made her famous. That's a psychological burden no performer should have to carry, especially when the injury resulted from preventable circumstances. WWE's stock price has already begun to reflect investor concerns about losing their top female draw, with analysts questioning how the company will maintain momentum in the women's division without their biggest star. This financial impact might be the only thing that forces WWE to reconsider their approach to performer safety, not concern for their wrestlers' well-being, but worry about their bottom line. As we wait for more updates on Becky's condition, one thing is crystal clear: this incident represents a turning point for how WWE treats their performers. The wrestling world is watching, fans are demanding accountability, and the industry's biggest stars are speaking out about the need for change. The question now isn't just whether Becky Lynch will recover from her injuries, it's whether WWE will finally learn from this preventable tragedy or continue down the same reckless path that put their biggest female star in a hospital bed. The answer to that question will determine not just Becky's legacy, but the future of every wrestler who steps through those ropes trusting WWE to keep them safe. This is exactly why channels like WWE Reporter exist, to hold this company accountable when they try to sweep these incidents under the rug, to give you the real story when their PR machine goes into damage control mode, and to demand better treatment for the performers who risk everything for our entertainment. Stay tuned for more updates as this story develops, and remember, your voices matter in demanding change from WWE. Comment below with your thoughts on this situation, share this video to spread awareness, and let WWE know that fans won't tolerate putting profits over performer safety any longer.